Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Syracuse Sports. My name is Brent Axe. I'll be your host here today. It's all presented by Krause Health, the exclusive healthcare partner for Syracuse Athletics. Hope you guys are doing well. We're getting closer to Thanksgiving. We're in crossover season between Syracuse football and basketball. Yes, football is still happening, even with the excitement going on with the 4-0 Syracuse basketball orange. So you got to keep up with all of it, not only here on the pod, but as a Syracuse Sports Insider. Yep, here comes the pitch. You know it, baby. Being a Syracuse Sports Insider means you get direct text message access to me anytime. Your questions, comments, thoughts, and opinions on all manners of Syracuse sports, including the back and forth between you and I during Syracuse football and basketball games. Always exciting. Your voice exclusively heard on this podcast. We do not take comments from anywhere else except from our Syracuse Sports Insiders and on our Syracuse football and basketball post-game shows. Woo, baby, it's going to be busy coming up here, friends. So as we're going to focus on this episode of Syracuse Sports, the Orange at Notre Dame on Saturday in South Bend, we will have a live post-game show after that. On Saturday, brace for impact as Joe Filardi and company head into South Bend as 35-point underdogs. But we will have a post-game show on Saturday night. Syracuse basketball heads for Vegas. Baby, Vegas. Monday against Houston, Tuesday against Kansas. We've got a great preview pod on the way for that, by the way. If you are listening to this and have not got to that preview pod, they're kind of coming out consecutively here, but just so you know, that is going to be in the works, coming out on Friday. What would that be? The 21st. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. That's why you should subscribe and follow on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your pods, so you don't miss out on a thing. We'll have post-game shows Monday after Houston, Tuesday after Kansas. We'll see about that third game. Syracuse is going to play a third game in Vegas either Wednesday or Thursday, so we'll keep you updated on that as the week goes along. So things are busy here on Syracuse Sports, and today we are going to have a chat with, boy, I love this dude, Mike Golic Jr. You may remember him from Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio. He now does, I got to get the list here, my man is busy. So former Notre Dame player, now does Golic and Golic with his dad, Mike Golic, you remember from the ESPN Radio days, of course, on Fanduel. He also is a college football analyst for TNT and does the Echoes pod, focusing on Notre Dame. He's one of the first names I think of these days when I think of Notre Dame and his connections there. Fun guy to talk to. I've had him on my show a bunch of times when I was doing radio. First time here on the pod, and excited to get his thoughts on this Notre Dame team, the debate about Notre Dame and Miami and what the deal with that is with the college football playoff. If you're going to South Bend, like, let's be honest here, guys, it's probably not going to be much of a football game. But South Bend is a bucket list trip for any sports fan, and it's a great opportunity for Syracuse fans to experience that. So Golic laid it out for us, what you got to do when you're in South Bend. And Mike is a connoisseur of what I would call unique snacks. So we have a conversation about that too. A lot of fun with Mike Golic Jr. It's coming up here shortly, but just a reminder that we love to feature your original music here on Syracuse Sports. Shout out to my guy Dahmer, who sent this in. One of our Syracuse Sports Insiders suggested his nephew, as a matter of fact. SMB Real Music is our artist today. You can find all the info in the show notes on where you can find SMB. It's a song called A Little Bit Lonely, and you can have your music featured here on Syracuse Sports, or your nephew's music, or your niece's music, or whoever it is. Get in touch. We'd love to feature your original independent music here on Syracuse Sports. It's all in the show notes on how you can get in touch with me. Just drop me an email, and we'll go from there. Or our Syracuse Sports Insiders can text me directly. So let's listen to a little bit of A Little Bit Lonely, and then Mike Golic Jr. and I talk Syracuse-Notre Dame.
Loudest draw. Loudest draw.
You just gave my soul back, babe, I hope you know that. My heart broke to pieces, but you just solved the puzzle. I don't want no trouble, I just want you in double. Cause all you said made me feel those butterflies, now be still. Let's just be forever together. Wish that I was better, but I know where I met her. I don't want no letter, won't show up, yeah, I better. I'm just a little bit lonely alone tonight.
So we got plenty of football and a little lacrosse, little tease for later in the interview to get into with my guy Mike here. But you're also one of my go-to sources, Mike, for what I guess I'll say is unique snacks. I'll be in the grocery store and I'll walk by the Oreos and I'll be like, oh, I wonder what Golic thinks about the new Oreos that are coming out, right? So I appreciate you providing a service there. Any recommendations of some things you've tried lately that we should get out there and indulge in?
Boy, I tell you what, if you're talking about the Oreo stuff too, I am generally a more is better, right? When it comes to how stuffed the Oreos should be. I think double stuff should just be the new standard. I think it should be like Five Guys where we don't entertain a single patty anymore. But I got to tell you, the tiramisu thins, some of the best Oreos I've ever had. And I can't tell if we had more creme, would it throw off the ratio in a way that affects the experience? I'm on a huge tiramisu kick in general, and these are really scratching the itch.
Okay, good to know. You'll appreciate this as a Notre Dame guy. My favorite is the Irish cream.
Oh, yeah.
10 out of 10.
Fantastic.
10, I know that's a rookie score, but 10 out of 10, fantastic. I think they sell them all year round now, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that's just a seasonal thing or not, but fantastic. I'm sure you've had those too.
Oh, absolutely. And listen, a 10 out of 10 rating, we're allowed to love what we love as strongly as we want to. Don't let people try and talk you down off that. Don't let anyone yuck your yum. Definitely not me either. I yuck way too much yuck.
I appreciate you saying that, Mike. That means a lot coming from you. All right, well, Notre Dame's a 35-point favorite in this game. Syracuse has had a season fall apart, ironically enough, because they brought in Steve Angeli from Notre Dame. He gets hurt. And their other transfer portal quarterback, let's just say, did not work out in Ricky Collins here. So Notre Dame's got Syracuse and Stanford. We're talking before the new college football playoff ranking comes out, so we'll see how that shakes out. But, Mike, it feels like Notre Dame is just kind of biding time till they get in the playoff. So what's the plan for Notre Dame, you think, to kind of, get through these two games and get into the playoff and try and make some noise?
Yeah, I think for both of these, it's still a great test. Like Marcus Freeman's early tenure at Notre Dame was marred by losses to teams that Notre Dame was supposed to beat. And it's not that, I think necessarily given what you highlighted here, man, I just as an aside, feel terrible for Steve, the way the season was going. I have a ton of respect for the way he handled his business as a backup in South Bend when he came in and got game action, whether it was in the bowl game, whether it was last year in the CFP 2-minute drill. I was rooting for him and really rooting for him to be able to come back to South Bend and have a chance to make an impact on that game. So hopefully he still has the chance to do that next season. But I do think it's a challenge for Marcus Freeman and this team to continue to stay in the mode they've had to be since that loss to Texas A&M that was similar to the mode they got in last year after Northern Illinois, which is every week is a playoff game for you when there's no margin for error like that. And so you've got to go out there and handle your business and also just keep playing to that standard. Like I always tell people, the most instructive season of football in my life was 2012 because I had been on, middle of the pack teams for most of my Notre Dame career. We were so good my freshman and sophomore year that they decided to fire our head coach. So we had not performed well on the field for the majority of my time there. And then I had played around a bunch of great players, but we just hadn't put it together. And then 2012 came and we went 12-0 in the regular season. And I learned how difficult it is to do the things necessary daily to give yourself that opportunity in every game. And it's impossibly hard. In this day and age, there's more variables than ever and different things teams and players have to do. So to be able to come in and reproduce that standard no matter the opponent each and every week is the challenge for any great football team. And so for Notre Dame, you can't spend time worrying about the committee. You can't spend time worrying about anything else. You're the only thing you can do. And it's so cliche, but you've got to drown yourself in the moment. It's got to be the 5 minutes in front of your face. And it's got to be Syracuse all this week and what you can do to go out and win that game. And, it's senior day. You want to give as many of the guys on the roster a chance to see the field as possible. And so as a starter, you do feel an obligation to go out there and handle business. So the guys that haven't seen the field that you've gone to work with every day for the last 4 or 5 years can have that moment on the field with their families there and enjoy all that.
We mentioned the Steve Angeli angle in this one, and he has been traveling with the team, so I'm sure he'll be back there, and that'll bring up some emotions, of course. But CJ Carr did win out in that battle. It seemed to be the right choice. since CJ has taken the reins here, how has he kind of taken command of the offense and shown why he was the guy in that competition?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the competition that ended up going deep into camp with him and Kenny Minchie, who was the other quarterback in that room with him and Steve. Every time Kenny Minchie takes the field, I can see why it was such a tough competition for two players who had a lack of experience as high-end starters at that point, but both have a ton of ability. And for CJ, you went into the Miami game and it was almost a completely different offense at that point. It was a lot of RPO stuff, a lot of trying to get the ball out in the perimeter quick to get a young quarterback acclimated in a hostile environment against what we've seen is a very good defense for the Hurricanes. And then after that game, he made a couple of big time plays. I think for me, the scramble, run around, touchdown down in the red zone was one of those first times where we saw the smirk after. We saw a player who has a confidence that, doesn't border on arrogance in a bad way, but in the ways you need as a high level competitor. And so ever since that moment, they took the training wheels off this offense. And it's one where it pushes the ball down the field at a level we haven't seen in South Bend in quite some time. I think the timing, touch, and ability to get the ball almost anywhere on the field, maybe not the strongest arm in the world, but more than capable. And with the receivers they've got here, he has really unlocked a level of the Notre Dame passing attack that probably hasn't been here since I guess the best days of Jimmy Clausen, Golden Tate, Michael Floyd, like that caliber of what we saw consistently under center there. CJ's a guy that has the full confidence of this offense and, has had some blemishes. He's still a first-year starter as a redshirt freshman and had the USC game where he had a bad turnover that almost got them in some trouble, had 2 turnovers this past weekend against a Pitt defense that can certainly present a lot of issues. But I think overall, his poise and even overcoming those moments in those games to still go on and make huge plays says a lot about what he's made of. And, given the bloodlines, given everything we knew about him as a recruit, it's not surprising, but it's still impressive given the fact that this is his first year as a starter.
And you have Jeremiyah Love running the football, which helps. And man, he is just, you watch him for 5 seconds and you're just, I saw a clip this morning from our guy, Joe Tessitore, who was making the case that he's the best football player in the country. And I'm like, yeah, you can make that case. I'm a Heisman voter. I'm willing to be swayed here. I'm starting to get the emails from the campaigns. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I could be swayed here with, emails, donuts, so whatever choice you want to make here. But there is a strong case for him growing to be in that conversation. I know it's a quarterback award and it's tougher for running backs to break through, but if there's one that's going to knock loudly on the door right now, I mean, we can make a case for this guy. That's the description of the award. The best college football player in the United States. I think he fits.
I would agree. And listen, I'm like you, I'm fortunate enough to be a Heisman voter and I'm starting to kind of gather this as well. And man, what a fun season where we're coming off a year where we had a two-way player and Travis Hunter win the award in a way that felt atypical. We came into this season with a bunch of names, especially at quarterback. We thought we were going to be great that turned out to either have seasons that personally didn't go that route or with their team success didn't allow them the opportunity or some combination of the both. And it's been replaced by incredible players, in the quarterback realm, like Haynes King, what we've seen from Diego Pavia, certainly Julian Say and Fernando Mendoza. Like there are great quarterbacks that deserve to be in this conversation, but Jeremiyah Love absolutely warranted in this. What he's done this season consistently, both when things are blocked up well, when things aren't blocked up as well, as a pass catcher out of the backfield in pass protection, he is such a complete player in addition to the explosives that, yes, he deserves to be in this conversation, as does a guy like, I love that we're doing Jacob Rodriguez right now at Texas Tech as well, the linebacker there. So I do think, and maybe this is the effect of, hey, we just came off a season where we had to factor in a non-quarterback in a major way because of what he was doing. Ashton Genty was involved in that conversation as a running back in a way that also gives some past precedent to this in recent history. Like it would be fun to see him rewarded for a season that's no doubt been special. And right now, I mean, the talk among Notre Dame circles is Jeremiyah Love in a history that includes great names in that running back room, may be the best running back to ever come out of South Bend.
Yeah, I get a little touchy with the Heisman conversation. Tim Brown, 87, knocking out Don McPherson, and I'm still bitter about that one, Mike, but it just feels different when a Notre Dame player is in the center of that conversation for all the change in sports. There's just certain warm, cozy, comfort food feelings, especially this time of the year. Thanksgiving comes around, it renews a lot of traditions. I just think it's better when Notre Dame's in that conversation for these type of players, for the college football playoff and everything there. And we'll see how that turns out there. I think it almost enhances his campaign in a way, Mike, that you have Price on the roster too. You have two really good running backs you can go to, and the fact that Love has put up the numbers and made the impact he has with a 1A by his side almost makes it more impressive to me.
It's been unbelievable. The fact that, he's a 1,000-yard back and he's got the production that he does. You're right, fully splitting carries with Jadarian Price, who would be anyone else's starting running back at most places in the country. And also, listen, if we're looking towards the next level, like what a great thing for Jeremiyah as he gets set to go to the NFL with maybe less wear and tear than some other backs in his caliber and his ability level who are forced to be, the sole battering ram for their offense. And so I do think that's certainly a positive for that, but does heighten how impressive it is what he's done with less volume than maybe others in his position, past or present.
Mike, what do you think when Marcus Freeman comes up in conversations? This is an unprecedented coaching carousel. We're about to see major jobs open all over the place, and some big schools are going to take some big shots here. But we've also seen a trend where guys are saying no. Kurt Signetti, I'm good at Indiana, right? Rhett Lashley, no, SMU, I'm fine here, right? And Jimmy Sexton's laughing all the way to the bank in this whole conversation. But I don't know, like every job that seems to come up from like, why would Marcus Freeman go there from Notre Dame, right? He seems to have a pretty sweet gig where he is, but in Notre Dame circles. So what's the conversation like with Freeman and not only what he's done at Notre Dame, but when you hear his name linked to the two other jobs that seem to put him on those lists?
Yeah, I think there's always equal parts like, hey, it means your coach is doing a great job, which is a good sign. And certainly what Notre Dame fans have watched from the growth of Marcus Freeman in now his fourth year, it's been pretty incredible. The leap last year in terms of the game management, the decision-making, the stuff that showed up in little moments all year, the stuff that showed up in big moments like the playoff game against Georgia, it's been remarkable. And so it's unsurprising he's on everyone's radar. There's always some anxiety just because it did just happen. Like Brian Kelly, who was courted for years by, rumors about the NFL, rumors about other jobs that ended up turning into him leaving for the LSU job. I do think had Notre Dame fans always kind of looking over their shoulder a bit on this stuff. But I think the thing that's encouraging, one, is Marcus Freeman does generally seem to have an affinity for this place and a unique understanding of what makes it special, why it's a good fit for him and his family. And he's embraced all of those things in the way that he messages around this program. But it's also, I think Notre Dame stepped up. Like I wasn't sure as we made the transition into the modern era of college football where, NIL, the transfer portal, all these different ways of program building became in vogue. Would Notre Dame be willing to go to bat? And it seems as if they have. They've been big players in all those areas. They're stepping up and have a new facility that's getting ready to open on campus for the football program. They've supported Marcus in the assistant pool to go out and hire Mike Denbrock and get him back to South Bend after his time at LSU. And so I think when you put all that together, it looks like a program that is willing to support you at the levels you need to succeed. And now that you're at that point where success begets more success and you've got the beacon lit at quarterback, man, if you're a great, young, talented quarterback, a position that had kind of eluded South Bend for the last decade or so, if you're a great, young, talented quarterback watching what CJ Carr is doing under center, well, why wouldn't you want to come and work in an offense like that, coordinated by a guy who coordinated for a Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels at LSU? If you're a young defender, why wouldn't you want to come and play at a place that's now all of a sudden made defensive back a standard bearer for a program that hadn't had those and is going to go back-to-back from Benjamin Morrison, who was the best I had seen in my lifetime, to now Leonard Moore, who I think is the best cornerback at Notre Dame I've seen in my lifetime. So all of these things have created an environment. Marcus Freeman has helped build on what Brian Kelly left at Notre Dame that had been a massive improvement in my lifetime, to the point where outside of Marcus's alma mater in Ohio State, and if the NFL is something that he dreamed about, competition at the highest level and the challenge that poses, those are the ones that I would look at as probably the most credible opportunities that you would have to say, all right, I could understand if he left for that. But besides that, I think Notre Dame's positioned itself well to keep Marcus Freeman around and keep him happy while he's in South Bend.
Speaking of positioning well, Mike, I always want to just get an update on this. In a world where I sound like it's a movie trailer. In a world where the SEC and the Big Ten are taking over, right? But the eventual we've gone from Power 5 to Power 4. It might get smaller than that. The big television contracts, the whole thing, the business of college sports, and there's Notre Dame just continuing to do its own thing, but also affiliated with the ACC. It feels like we always circle back to this question, whenever there's conference realignment or something that's, hey, what about Notre Dame and the ACC? That ever going to be a thing? And I'm just kind of giving up on that being a thing. But I guess I'll ask, is there going to be a point where Notre Dame's going to have to make a decision about that, ACC, Big Ten, or otherwise?
I would think, because I was having this conversation with someone the other day, or got asked this question about, even the Notre Dame Miami debate that's starting to the ACC
right.
The ACC media machine has gone out and put out the talking points now, and everyone is honestly doing what you should do as a conference. Like, I don't fault the ACC or Miami's people for coming out and doing what they're doing right now in support of that team relative to Notre Dame, who's kind of been half out and had their cake and eat it too with the conference relationship here. Even if Notre Dame missed it this year, I don't think that would sound the alarm, because Notre Dame is 10-2 and lost the 2 high leverage games on their schedule. And if that ended up biting them, I'd have to kind of, shake my hand and say, hey, you had opportunities, especially against Texas A&M, to win that game and need to. I think if like an 11-1 Notre Dame team got left out, all of a sudden that would sound the alarms. But in my mind, Notre Dame joining a conference wouldn't really happen to me until we get like the next great round of realignment. Like, everyone's kind of eyeing 2030 when a lot of the TV deals come up. And I always joke, like, could we get football Pangea, the Super League thing that people have kind of whispered about for years? And if you get something like that where, and the party line from Jack Swarbrick for years was, does Notre Dame have access to the championship event, and is the television contract still competitive with teams in its tax bracket around football? And until one of those changes, and with the new deal with NBC, I think it would have to be if the playoff structure changed in such a way that it was no longer advantageous for Notre Dame to maintain its independence. That's probably the day when it happens.
Couple more quick ones for you here, Mike. A lot of Syracuse fans are going to be making their first trip to South Bend, despite the uncompetitive nature of this football game. That is still somewhere you go. If it's Syracuse or whoever is in South Bend, is better than anybody. That is a bucket list trip. So for those making the trip, give me a few things you got to do. Maybe one thing that's off the beaten trail that people don't talk about as much when you go to South Bend that you should check off the list.
Yeah, so I always tell people play the hits. Like, it's what I do when I go back to campus. I've been going to South Bend since I was in grade school, making trips there for games. My parents got the brainwashing started early. And like, when I go back, the first thing I do is go walk campus, go see Touchdown Jesus, go by the stadium and take the pictures, go walk over and go inside the Basilica if you've got time. It's a beautiful building. Go to the grotto and light a candle. Go walk around the lakes in the back there, especially at this point in the fall. Like, the snow is always going to be kind of an ever-present threat at this point. Once it's November in South Bend, you guys could certainly appreciate this at Syracuse, but you get some great scenes out there. It's a beautiful, easy walking campus. So go check out all those heavy hitters. And then, as far as the stuff around campus, like, they've done a really good job of building up the area. The Eddy Street Commons right next to campus has good bars and restaurants that you can check out. Murphy's Ice Cream is a big favorite of mine. Unsurprising to anybody who knows or is familiar with me. Rocco's Pizza is right down the way. It's probably less than a mile from campus down the street. Good Italian spot, good pizza place here. But if you really want the piece de resistance, a Friday night trip to the Linebackers, probably something you need to check out. It's low ceilings, dingy bar that's been there since my dad was there. I think there's still probably puke from when he was there over in the corner. It might even be his. I don't know. But it's like, the bars in college towns that I love are the ones with low ceilings with tchotchkes all over the wall.
Oh, yeah.
That's the backer. Like, when Wright Thompson narrates a piece about it on College Game Day, it's the good stuff, right?
That's right.
Right, with all that gravel. So head over to the backer if you got time. Unfortunately, name dropping me won't get you out of cover there. I don't have that kind of juice. Maybe try Dad's name and just tell him Mike Sr. sent you, and maybe they'll get you out of the $5 cover to get in. But it's just like a fun slice of the South Bend nightlife that honestly wasn't a student bar when I was there. I don't know if undergrads go there now. That was like the rite of passage at Notre Dame. The main steps of the building next to the Basilica, like the main building, that was always the old wives' tale was you don't walk up those as an undergrad or you won't graduate. So the night of graduation, we all go and have a couple of drinks on the steps and kind of party there. That was what it felt like was the rite of passage to go to being able to go over to the linebacker and do it. They also have a pretty good burger there. My mom and dad live in South Bend for half the year, and they go over during the day all the time and have lunch at the linebacker. So if you want to skip the lines and the beers, a burger at either the Backer or CJ's Pub downtown won't steer you wrong. The CJ Pub burger, so good they sell it in the grocery store. That's what I always tell people.
That's much appreciated. Great advice for Syracuse fans going there. It's a small thing, but I would want to find the bench that Rudy was sitting on when he read the letter that he got in Notre Dame and runs off, and now we're cooking. Like, that's when that movie is like, oh, here we go. And like, he is on the team and let's go. And honestly, if this was the Rudy game in 2025, he'd be in the first quarter, not wait until the end of the fourth quarter at this point. So sorry to take a shot at you there, Syracuse, but that's just kind of where we're at this point. One last thing, Mike, there is a lacrosse connection in this game. Joe Filardi is going to be the starting quarterback, who is a top 50 lacrosse recruit. So if I'm Gary Gate, I'm kind of like, hey, that's great, kid, but we need you for lacrosse. So let's try not to get hurt in this thing, right?
Yes.
You're a big lacrosse guy, and this is one of those things I know, but I don't know why. And I just kind of wanted to ask, like, how did you get the lacrosse bug? Did you play the sport? Why the passion for lacrosse? And it's appreciated. And I love seeing you tweet about lax and talk about lax, and appreciate your love for the sport.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Connecticut, so Dad started working at ESPN when I was a kid. We moved there in 1998, and I was really bad at baseball. I found out about the fourth grade. I went on the baseball all-star circuit, and I had a 0 batting average for the all-star circuit. I don't know how I made the all-star circuit, but it was fourth grade, so it probably wasn't, merit-based. And after that, I was like, oh, wait, there's this sport where I can carry a 6-foot-long pole and hit people in the football offseason. That sounds pretty great. So from fifth grade through my sophomore year of high school, I played lacrosse. Loved it. I mean, it's far and away my second favorite sport outside of football. And then when I got to campus in Notre Dame as a freshman, there's no athlete dorms. You're not separated. You room with normal students on campus. And so my roommate just happened to be one of the attackmen on the lacrosse team, Sean Rogers, who was, from Long Island and was an attackman on the lacrosse team that played in the national title our sophomore year. I because I was so close with Sean and got to know the rest of the guys on that team, it just really developed, an even bigger love for the sport. It helped that, at a time where, like I said, we were going to the, Hawaii Bowl playing football. Our lacrosse team was playing for the title, and unfortunately in that era, losing to Duke a lot. But it was a ton of fun to go and watch all the games there. The guys on that team were, super welcoming and are still some of my good friends to this day. And so, and you've seen, like, I think over the years, the Notre Dame football and Notre Dame lacrosse connection, now you've got, Jordan Faison and Jeffries on the roster. That certainly helps, but you've seen that cut the other way where, the Notre Dame football team coming out of spring practice will walk over on the berm at Arlotta and watch these games. And it's just really cool. I always appreciate, the way Kevin Corrigan and that program have done a lot of different things, but it's been a fun winter to be attached to, especially getting to buy all the back-to-back national championship gear has been a real a welcome respite for me as I wait for that on the football side.
I always enjoyed, you brought up the baseball thing, when I would, playing lacrosse in central New York, especially when March rolls around and it's just raining every day, or there's still snow on the ground. We'd have to practice in the parking lot sometimes. And I just always love walking by the baseball team on those really crappy weather days. Like, see you guys out there? Oh, no, you don't play. Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll be out there. If you guys want to come out, we'll be there. But Mike, great stuff. Always appreciate your time. Love what you're doing out there. So many things. We did all the plugs at the beginning so people know where to find you. But thank you for doing this. Thanks for the great advice on South Bend. I know we'll catch up down the road, but thanks for hopping on with us today, my friend.
No, absolutely appreciate you having me. I hope everyone enjoys the trip. Obviously, I hope that the game is not all that entertaining on the Syracuse side, but I always hope people have fun in town, like the fans, the ushers, everyone in game day will do a super good job of hopefully making everyone feel welcome. And if it is a first time there, maybe the only time there, that people enjoy it.
My thanks again to Mike Golic Jr. joining us here on the pod, talking Syracuse and Notre Dame. The only question in mind here is, can the Orange cover that 35-point spread? Yeah, we're all in on next year and looking over the horizon. And the bummer with this game is that we won't get that Steve Angeli revenge game, right? last year, Kyle McCord comes to Syracuse. He clearly was motivated by the fact that he was basically shoved out of Ohio State. And while Syracuse did not play Ohio State, you get to the last game of the season, and Michigan beats Ohio State. Syracuse beats Miami. Epic comeback led by Kyle McCord. And McCord just has that sly comment at the postgame of the Miami game saying everything comes full circle, right? So we'll have to wait till next year to see if everything comes full circle for Steve Angeli, as he would have the opportunity to face Notre Dame in South Bend. He lost out in that quarterback competition. Let's be honest, CJ Carr is doing pretty well as the starter at Notre Dame. It appears Marcus Freeman made the right choice for Notre Dame. But man, Steve Angeli was doing so well for Syracuse. And when he went down with that Achilles injury, I'm not breaking news here, of course. This has been the story of the 2025 season. It sunk Syracuse's battleship when he went down. So he'll have to wait till next year. Notre Dame is on the schedule next year. There's been some whispers that game may not happen next year. But as of now, it is still on the schedule. Notre Dame coming to the JMA Wireless Dome. So perhaps Steve Angeli will get his full circle moment then. And a guy who was leading the country in passing when he went down. And the story that is building here with Angeli sweeping it at some point as the conquering hero again, though he continues to rehab from that injury. That is a full year rehab. Will he be ready to even start the season next year? And that is a continuing development here as the Orange wrap this season up. Boston College after that. The portal opens in January. Signing day on December 3rd. Syracuse has to get all of those high-profile recruits over the finish line, and we'll be tracking it all for you here on Syracuse Sports and the Syracuse Sports Insider text line. So please join today to be a part of our growing community of some of the more passionate Syracuse sports fans out there. You get direct text message access to me anytime as a Syracuse Sports Insider. It's just $3.99 a month. You can try it free for 2 weeks and then sign on board. What a great holiday gift to become a Syracuse Sports Insider, all for less than $4 a month. Come on, let's go. We are so glad you hung with us today. It's going to be busy. As mentioned, post-game show after Notre Dame, post-game show after Syracuse-Houston, and Syracuse-Kansas in Vegas next week. We'll see about that third game and what the post-game situation will be there. We'll have a post-game show after the season finale for Syracuse football against Boston College at the Dome. A couple other things cooking here on the pod I think you guys will be excited about, so stay tuned. Make sure you follow. Make sure you subscribe on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss a darn thing. That's going to do it for this episode of Syracuse Sports, though. Thanks again to Mike Golic Jr. for joining us. Let's hear it. The full version of A Little Bit Lonely from SMB Real Music. You can have your real music featured here on Syracuse Sports. Get in touch. We'd be happy to feature your original independent music here on the show, as we're going to do right now. SMB, take us out, baby.
Loudest draw. Loudest draw.
You just gave my soul back, babe, I hope you know that. My heart broke to pieces, but you just solved the puzzle. I don't want no trouble, I just want you in double. Cause all you said made me feel those butterflies, now be still. Let's just be forever together. Wish that I was better, but I know where I met her. I don't want no letter, won't show up, yeah, I better. No. I'm just a little bit lonely, alone tonight. Can I just stare in your eyes, fall asleep in the light? Yeah. I know what they're trying to do, seen it done since I was 2. I don't wanna make them lose, but that's a choice to choose. Yeah, spray me down and make me frown. Let's see you now when you were down. I tried the sound, it's all around. You want me now, but not in crowds. You make me feel not as alone. Beat me up and take my phone. I know that I'm on my own, but this girl has helped me grow. I don't wanna know your name, take it back and say the same. Many thoughts roam in my brain, I never claimed that I was sane. I'm just a little bit lonely, alone tonight. Can I just stare in your eyes, fall asleep in the light? Yeah. Let's just be forever together. Wish that I was